Hey guys, today I'm making a video this week about storytelling. Now, I hope some of you are on my ass saying, Lewis, you said you're going to upload a video every week and we didn't say one last week. I 100% deserve it, and I hope some of you say that. I hope some of my team members are like, Lewis, you said this, so there has to be consequences. And so the reason why I didn't upload a video, I created a video. I didn't really think it was going to be that helpful for you guys, so I was like, let me hold off on doing it. Had a little bit of travel going on, so I didn't think it was the best idea for me to just upload trash out there, right? I think these videos genuinely help people that are watching it, my team, and everybody else around. So today is about storytelling. Now, I figured out very early on into my sales career the importance of telling a story, right? You have movies that sell billions of dollars, right? Avatar, all these huge movies that do super well because they tell a story. You have TV shows that have super high ratings because they tell a story. Now you got TikTok that's doing phenomenally well, right? Because they have like a bunch of these like Reddit stories with like automated voices and all this stuff, right? Everybody in society wants a story. Now, how do I incorporate that into sales? It's quite simple. Now, if you guys see me looking over here, I wrote down some notes. I wanted to be a little bit more prepared for you guys. So, now what is the importance of telling a story in sales, or why even tell a story in sales? Well, it connects the dots. That's basically all it does, right? Because you got a prospect that has a sales time frame, and you have a sales time frame as a salesperson. So you guys got to align. Now, what a story does is it kind of joins you guys together. I like to put it as this, right? You speaking, you telling everybody everything, right? It's black and white. You know, it's like a printer with no colorful ink. It's black and white. You telling a story adds color to the paper. It creates a painting, creates a picture for them to move forward with you easier. That's the main point of telling a story. Now, how do I tell a story? It's quite simple. I'm gonna make this video quick. If I ramble on, my apologies. First and foremost, you gotta ask for permission. I had a meeting the other day, and I asked for permission to tell a story, and everybody's always gonna say yes. I've never, in the past 5 years, I have yet to hear someone say, no, Lewis, you cannot tell me a story. So you always go, hey, do you mind if I share a story with you, a quick story in regards to XYZ? It's relevant to the conversation. It has to be relevant to the conversation, right? And then you ask for permission. Do you mind if I share a story with you? Boom. Okay, awesome. So that's step number one. Then step number two, step number two is, I was actually going to touch upon this. It's the tone that you ask, do you mind if I share a story? Your tonality is super important in this situation. It's very pivotal. So I want you, step number one, ask for permission. Step number two, slow it down, get your tone deep, and get real serious, right? You got to slow it down, got to get everything concise, and you got to deliver this super well. I don't want you to be super excited with the story because you're trying to sell this person, right? And step number three is you got to share some backstory, but the way you share the backstory has to be perfectly executed. And I'm going to give a real world example of how I sold someone. I'm not going to give examples of the names, persons, or anything along those lines, but I'll give some details I can, right? I don't want to be putting people out there. And this is Joe Schmo, right? Let's just pretend this person's name is Joe. They run an insurance company out of, some state. They run an insurance company, and they're coming to me for business consulting. And they had, talked about in our discovery call a bunch of things, right? That's going on with their business, this, that, right? And now it's my time to share some relevant backstory about my story. So I go, hey, Joe, do you mind if I share a story with you? Yeah, go for it. Okay, awesome. So, Joe, the story's about this person, right? I'm not going to share any names. That's a previous, it's an internal client of ours. This internal client of theirs was in the same place you were at, doing the same revenue you were doing, and they were doing XYZ thing, right? So boom, I just filled up the gaps, right? I told them they're in the same place, that they are in the same industry, that they're a very similar type of people. I said, hey, this person's a go-getter just like you are. This person's a self-made person. They didn't go to college. They didn't do any of that, just like you didn't. And so they, boom, that relevant information connects the gaps, and now they are tracking with the story. They picture themselves similar to that person. Now step number 4, and this is the most important part of how I tell my stories. You gotta make it so dumb. Like the story has to be, even if it's a complex story, you gotta simplify it. What you wanna do in step number 4, and this is how you're telling your story, is for their brain to think about what the next thing is gonna happen. Have you ever been in one of those movies that you're like, I know the ending, and you're thinking about the ending, and you're super involved in that movie because you think you know the ending, and you're going step by step, and you're like, I know. Boom. Same thing with this story. So 1, you ask for permission. 2, you slowed down your tone. You brought everything down, and you made it very curious, very concerned, very confident tone, right? Then step number 3, you shared some relevant information that tied them to that story, right? Now step number 4 is you make it very dummy proof to follow the steps and for them to like reach out and touch the final goal, right? They can go like, I know what Lewis is gonna end with. So now step number 4, and I'll continue this example, and I said, hey Joe, so this person's self-starter, they did everything like you did, right? And I went into details. I'm not gonna do it, quick video. And now this person, just like you mentioned, had the same issues. They had the employee retention, they had the agent retention, they had all these things, revenue, ups and downs, this, that. And you know what they did? Wait, what did they do? Okay, great. I'll share with you like a little bit something about what they did. And then I go, well, during their bottom parts, they realized that it was right after their sales managers had the biggest month. So they had these cushy, money in the bank account. So they slowed down during those months. And during those months, the person realized that, wait, if they're getting comfortable because of this, huge commission stuff, well, why don't I coordinate so it doesn't get hit one time, it maybe dribbles in so they stay focused on the goal. So she's already thinking, oh shoot, that can help me out if that's my issue, right? But this individual is very smart at fixing his things, right? And then you go into the point where, and now they're connecting the dots all the way through. And this is an example. It was a different situation. I don't want to tell too much detail, but very similar, right? And so I go, and now what is going on is they're pretty staying consistent. Actually, they're pushing more and more because now their commission is being pushed back slightly. They're still getting paid the amount of money they would, but they're not getting it, boom, immediately, one check. They're getting it distributed in 3, 4, or maybe it's delayed, certain percentage gets sold here, this, that. And I go, and that person was able to build that system because they looked at this quadrant that we showed them of how to analyze your business. Now, boom, hey Joe, let's figure out how we can use this quadrant to fix your problem. Right? So they connected the dots. It's a pretty simple story to carry, the steps through. And they connected the dots. They're at the point at the end. And now they're like, oh shit, they fixed this. This is a story. I relate to it. It's very simple. I was very engaged because it was a simple story and I followed the points and I already knew the ending. And now we're at a point where, hey, it really makes sense for me to do it. And that's my simple 5-step process of how to tell a story to close someone, right? You gotta ask for permission first and foremost. 2, you gotta get your tone right. You gotta slow it down. You gotta be very confident. You gotta be very enthusiastic but slow with the story. Step number 3 is get some relevant backstory so they can relate. Step number 4 is make it very easy to follow the steps and even predict the future, even predict the ending, right? And step number 5, end with a statement that makes them align with your point of view. And that's how you do it. And I have one more tip, right? Where do you tell these stories? That's a very important timing. And there's really no silver bullet. I wish I said at 15 minutes when you're on the phone with a prospect, you tell them that story. That's not true. Now, the point in times that I think it helps move yourself forward is in 2 points. In your bridge, when you're transitioning from your discovery to your pitch, because that allows you to be able to transition your discovery to your pitch smoother, right? Or in your objection handling, right? So like when you're in the objection part, you can be like, hey, do you mind if I share a story with you? Boom, and then you can get to close them. I think those are the most 2 important places where you should be able to use that story effectively. That's my 5 steps process. I hope you guys loved it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments, DM me, whatever the case is. I'm happy to be coming at you with another video. Click a link somewhere around here. YouTube's recommending another video to you. And thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.